evening, everybody, and how are we all doing today? It is Sunday, the 13th of October, 2024. Hope you're well. Hope you're having a great weekend. Hope you're having a great week and all that jazz. So tonight, we're going to be talking about what do you grow in your hydroponics, if you have a hydroponics. But if you don't have a hydroponic system, hopefully we're going to encourage you to try and get your own. First of all, let's see if anybody is out there. And straight away, we've got Adrian saying, hello, Richard and all. Look, the comments have stayed on this time. I found out what was going on there. Philly SBB is saying, hello, everyone. Good evening to you. He also says, sorry, no pictures because the shipyard gardener was at a wedding and was hungover, unfortunately. It happens. It happens. I'm at a wedding next week. So luckily, I don't drink. So we'll see how it goes. Kate is there saying, good evening, Veg Army. Good evening to you. Hargrave Gas is there saying, evening all. Hope you've had a great week. What we've got, Turbo Stream is there saying, good evening, Veg Podcasters. Good evening to you. We have got Steve. Hang on. That's changed. That's changed. That's it's not come up as Digwell. It says Steve House. Good evening, gardeners, in backwards English, he says. Over on Instagram, Angela Mason Garden Design is saying hello. Hello to you. Welcome along. We have got Anna Jones, evening gardeners. Good evening to you. And Steve, whatever you've done, the pre-show comments are still here. Yeah, I stopped using the reusable studio. I've just gone in on the studio, changing it up basically every time. That was what was causing the issues. Anyway, that's not the point. That is not the point. I want to ask you all, please do hit that like button. Please do give us a thumbs up. If you can also let me know if the visual is looking much better this week than it has been, because I've done a lot of fiddling around over this last week. Well, just as I was saying that, see Nigel, evening, better studio light this week. I found out what the problem was. It was my teleprompter being too bright. That's what's been the problem. That's why I've not been happy with the lighting. The lighting's more or less the same as it was last few weeks. But I figured out what the problem was. Graham is there. Evening all. Good evening to you. Bristol Veggie Gardens. Hello, everyone. Good evening to you. Hope you are well. And Bethan is there. Good evening to you. Hope you are well. So let's get into it. First question I'm going to ask you. Put your hands up. Say yes if you... leave it alone. If you have a hydroponic gardening kit. Or if you grow hydroponically. So while I get the answers for that, I'm just going to kick the dog out of the way because she's chewing on a box that she shouldn't be chewing on. Roxy, no. This is the joys of this week. So what is hydroponics? Hydroponics is basically growing in a soilless conditions. I used to think it meant water. And that's kind of true. It's a nutrient-rich environment, but that does also involve a growing media for the rocks, for the roots to grow through. So I can see some answers coming in. Roxy is getting a hello from Kate. She's a little cheeky bugger today. She's actually smacked her head on something and got a little bit of blood up there. So keeping a close eye on her. Turbo Extreme says, can see you this week. Put a shilling in the meter. Thank you very much. Yeah, I've really gone to town on working this all out today. Steve says, turn the lights down. Richard, we can see you. Thank you very much. Kate also says, I've got a hydroponics set up and love it. Fantastic. Bethan says, yes, mine is a click and grow unit. Excellent. Steve Digwell says, this is really confusing me seeing Steve instead of Digwell Green Fingers for some reason. Yes, ~5. Turbo Stream says, I've not got hydroponics, nor can I spell hydroponics neither. Well, there you go. There you go. And Bethan is saying, show off to Digwell, Steve. Wow, why do you do this to me? I get used to it one way. Anyway, I actually bought myself a little 5-pod hydroponic system. If you look at the thumbnail for this video, you will see it there. And I actually love the thing to pieces. I've been using it in my kitchen to grow basil this year, and it's done really, really well at growing a lot of basil. We did get quite a few bugs and things like that, however, my only criticism, but we did grow lots of basil. But one of the things that's kind of annoyed me a lot about um, hydroponics and growing in hydroponic systems is the thing that people seem to grow mostly in them is herbs. Nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying there is anything wrong with it, but I want to try and get a little bit more, little bit something different, a little bit more challenging, something special. So I want to know what else we could grow in our hydroponic system, and is it worth it? Now, there is not just me, I've discovered, that has this problem that you can't, lacking inspiration of what to grow in a hydroponic system. There's actually Facebook groups set up dedicated to the whole premise of growing more than just herbs in their hydroponic setup. So, over to you. What do you grow in your hydroponics system? I'm going to keep an eye, or I can keep an eye on Instagram. I've changed the setup a lot. I can keep an eye, Instagram there, and everyone else there. So Steve is saying to Bethan, my black cat is bigger than your black cat. Whatever. Turbo Stream because I is ficking it. I actually think in Turbo Stream, I actually think in your porch area, a hydroponic system will actually do really, really well. Just going to throw that out there because I think there's a lot of positives to a hydroponic system. Andrew Norris has joined. Evening, Richard and everyone. Andrew, we're discussing hydroponics, and I want to find out what people grow in their hydroponic system. Anne has joined all the way from Canada, and she says, can you show us what it looks like, a hydroponic system, or did I miss that? You know, I was going to upload a photo. Let's see if I can do it. It's not there. Let me see if I can quickly... There we go. I'll quickly add it up as an overlay, and then I'll show you what I'm talking about. So I got mine back in May, my hydroponic system. It's a 5-pod system, so it can only grow 5 plants or 5 pods. I got it from Gardener's World Spring Fair. It was pretty cheap, actually. It's from a company called, I want to say Kenton Stowe, but that's not the right name. Here it is. I can quickly throw that up. That is the system that I have there. As you can see, it's pretty small. It's in my kitchen, and it's growing a lot of basil. It's a company in Kent. I forget the name of the company that have made it. It's on the screen or on the piece of a kit, but I can't quite see it from this far away. Hopefully, that's enough for you to see what I'm talking about. So, Steve says, I think my name has changed because I stupidly took a Gmail name. Everything that online changed the Gmail name and took Digwell off things. Deleted the Gmail, but stuck with Steve for now. I think you can change your name on YouTube if you wanted to, but it's just confusing. It's just confusing. I'm so used to seeing you called Digwell on this, to suddenly not is a little confusing. Kate says, due to moving, I haven't done much so far this year, but when I do use my hydroponics, the plants are stronger. Tomatoes, aubergines were amazing. Beans grew extremely quickly. House became cute garden. So what size system do you have, Kate? Is it how many plants can you grow in yours compared to mine? But already you're saying you've grown tomatoes, aubergines, beans, which I didn't even think you could grow beans. So that's for me very, very interesting. Andrew says the lighting is rather bright in the studio. Normally it's dark. I've had a massive fiddle around with things this week. Is it a tad too bright? Is it a tad too bright? Do I need to knock it down a little? Because I can actually do that from here. Anyway, we'll see. We'll see what everyone says. I think Richard has been tinkering. I've been tinkering a lot, decorating and things as well. Last year, I grew lettuce, rocket, coriander, basil, tomatoes, chili, peppers, and lavender. I tried keeping it going in the summer, but it got loads of aphids. That's been my problem as well. Through the summer, I got loads of aphids that I really didn't like, and it annoyed me a little because they were all in my kitchen. But I think perhaps at this time of year it'll be better. And says lighting is good for me. Excellent. Nicola says, evening lovelies, nice to be here with some friendly gardeners. Thank you very much. Lovely to see you, Nicola. I don't want to say, Nicola, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I'm very sorry to see what I saw on Facebook today. Hope you're okay. I won't say anything more than that because that's your business, but I did see it and hope you're okay. My system has 9 pods, so nearly just a 4 more than what I've got. So excellent. Little Bright Richard, 10%. I can knock it down a little. Posted a photo in the group just now. It's a 12 pod system, says Kate. So if you are in the Facebook group, you can see what Kate's one, a 12 pod system. That must be pretty big. Turbo Stream says, what is classed as hydroponics then? I've only seen the tabletop ones and must admit I know nothing about it in all honesty. That is a good question. That is a very good question. What is a hydroponics system? The general idea of hydroponics is it's a soilless environment to grow plants in. It's generally so my one has like these little sponges that you pop the seed in. The sponges are in a plastic container and the base of these sponges goes into water. The water has got a lot of plant feed, for want of a better word, specialized plant feed, but a lot of nutrients in that water that the plants will soak up. So although it's a soilless environment, it's still got plenty of nutrients. And I did find that the roots on the plants that I grew in it really did grow quite amazing. So there are many different types of hydroponics out there. Some big ones. I've been at some garden events with somebody that's using drain pipes to make hydroponics, and there's some small tabletop ones like the ones we are talking about. Lots of different ones out there, lots of good ones to go and see. Nicola says it's fine talking about lighting, I think. Not much. I haven't grown in hydros. Okay, that's interesting. That's encouraging because, as I said, there's a lot of people who are basically looking for inspiration of what to grow in their hydroponics and what can grow in their hydroponics. My 21 pod pick is on the Facebook group. 21 pod, that's getting large, isn't it? That's very large. Nigel's also noticed the channel name change. Nicholas says he was a lovely boy. All happened so quickly and had to have my bubble boy put to sleep this morning. Sorry, Nicola. That's why it's nice to be here. Right, we're not going to talk about it then. We've got our thoughts. We're not going to talk about that. We're going to cheer things up. No. Oh, right. I'm talking about the name change. So, now, one of the advantages that I know of for people who have grown hydroponics is they've been able to grow in, say, the basement of the house, somewhere where they cannot normally grow plants, somewhere completely random in many cases. My uncle, my Canadian uncle, who sometimes tunes in, I know he used to grow, he built his own hydroponics, and he would grow a lot of lettuce and things like that in his, including down in his basement. I think he's still got it there. Now he's in Canada, so like Anne, in summer that's very cold, and we really probably need to bring the garden indoors. There's not much you can grow in winter outdoors. Anne says, I was given some grow lights. Can I replicate a hydroponic system without spending cash? Can you build your own hydroponic system? You could, in some ways. Anything is possible. You can build anything. It's whether or not you could do it. Basically, all you got to remember that You want the water to flow around really just to keep it moving, but you could build, I don't know how to describe it, build a plastic container with your plants on like a rafter floating on top. You just got to remember to put plenty of plant feed in the water. But yeah, it is certainly possible. I'm trying. My uncle, as I know, built quite a few. Perhaps it's a project we need to do at some point. Build our own hydroponic system. Bethan says, I found my plants didn't grow very big in my unit. It wasn't enough for more than 2 meals. That's interesting. I mean, as I said, I've only grown basil in my hydroponic system, and it did do very, very well for basil, almost too well in some cases, but I wouldn't say that was enough for meals or anything. Over on Instagram, Ed Warren has joined. Welcome along, my friend. Hope you are well. Long time no see. Nicholas says, if I did hydroponics under the house, I may end up 165,000 foot, that looks like, down a mine shaft, as that's what's under my driveway house. Well, you know, you could do it in a shed. It doesn't have to be in a basement or anything. You could do it in a shed or even in a spare room. If you want to grow your own food and you don't have much space, this might be the way to do it. Some people actually grow theirs in grow tents as well. These are big sort of tents that they have set up in a room with reflective lighting or reflective sheets on the inside. Andrew says, a little discussion on YouTube after Julia H. Neal posted a link about fake farm brands and how supermarkets are selling produce with labels suggesting the food comes from a real farm. Worth discussing. Got to be careful because maybe for next week, we'll throw that out to the audience. That might be a subject we talk about next week. We've got to be a little careful because we are primarily a gardening brand. But that's something we could think about. Something we think about. Nicola, with a pump/fountain to circulate the water, that's what I was thinking. You could build your own with a little pump or something just to circulate the water and keep it moving so it doesn't go stagnant. But yeah, there's definitely options if you are looking to build one. I'm going to say, I can't think how much I paid for my, I think it was something like £35. So I don't think they're that expensive. That was at a show, so there was a bit of a sale on, but they're not that expensive in the grand scheme of things. Turbo Stream says, I saw a commercial tomato grower using a similar system on a TV news program a few years ago. They are becoming more popular in the farmers. Down in Brighton, there's a sort of garden we can go and visit. One Garden, it's called, and they're actually testing out hydroponic systems in there. So they are being used more and more in farms. I believe a lot of strawberry farmers use hydroponics for growing strawberries as well, but on a much larger scale. So yeah, I mean, yeah, there's definitely something positive about them. Nicholas says, I've got a few sheds coming in the next few weeks, months. So bargain seeds, so exciting. It's just a shame bargain seeds are going out of business. That's something I want to talk about one day. Yes, if you've got a spare shed, you can set up hydroponics inside a shed. Rob's Allotment Gardens joined. Good evening, all. Good evening to you. Andrew says, yes, I thought it might be off topic, but something to be aware of. It's definitely a subject. I like the idea of just, we'll throw it out to the audience and see what they say. Bethan says, I'm going to try herbs and flowers in my unit over the winter. I thought the splash of colours from the flowers would be cheerful in the long winter months. So actually, that seems like a good question to throw out to the audience, to those that have got their hydroponic system up and running. What do you grow in it over the winter months? What would you sow in it right now? I know there was some of you that spoke last year that you were sowing chilies and aubergines, which I'm sowing chilies and aubergines and sweet peppers at this time of year anyway. But would be good to know what you're going to be sowing in your own hydroponic system right now. What would you sow in it right now? Steve does say, I'm going to change it back to Digwell and I'll get used to it, aren't you? Most commercial tomato growers use hydroponics. They do, absolutely they do, because it's so easy. There's one of the advantages of hydroponics is there's no weeding and effectively no watering, because you're checking that water regularly and just topping it up when it gets now low. So there's a lot of positives about growing in hydroponics. Certainly time saving things that go on there. But yeah, I forgot my train of thought there. I forgot completely what I was going to say there. It would certainly cut out the blooming compost flies. That's a good advantage. I didn't think of that. I would warn you that there are things such as aphids. I did get a lot of aphids in mine last year or in the summer. So it doesn't completely cut them down, but there's things we can do about that. Nigel has given Steve some how to change your name back. Scott Turbo Stream says, are the units expensive? They depend. They do depend. There's lots of different ones out there. The bigger you go, the more expensive they are. Some can have some real technology that are you can operate on an app. My one is pretty simple. It's the cheapest one out of the lot, which is why I started with it. I might get a bigger one next year, to be honest with you. But all I did with it is I set it up, turned it on. When I turn it, I have to turn it on in the morning, but after that, it will run for 16 hours, then it will turn off for 8 hours and then come on itself for another 16 hours. You're just got to be up early enough to do that, otherwise it stays on really late at night. And if it was in like a bedroom or somewhere, you get its bright light shining until late at night. So Stigwell says, from my years of experience, lettuce for over winter. There we go, lettuce. There we go. You can grow lettuce in it over winter. Kate says, I did use mine for sunflowers. I also at the same time sowed as normal, and the hydroponics were stronger with thicker stems compared to the regular ones. So there's definitely an advantage to growing in hydroponics to get your seeds started, from what you're telling me. But what would you sow in it now? What would you sow in it now? That's what I would be. Nicholas says that's very interesting to hear. That's what I would really like to know. I'll tell you what, while you think about that, while you get a bit of time to come up with a comment, let's go to the mission video. You sent me the mission to go in the garden centre and find a few bits that we can be sowing right now. Right, this week's mission was to find some autumn summer stuff in the garden centre. So let's go in. I've already been warned about Christmas stuff, which, as anybody knows who watches this show, I bloody hate Christmas. Let's go see what we can find. So first of all, we've got a few of these beans. I can see we've got Bunyard's Exhibition, spring or autumn sowing right there. Just seeing if we've got any peas. Calvin Wonder, and they can be June to October. Just about time to still sow those. So there's a few. Let's head on outside and see what else we can find. Okay, so obviously we've got all our spring bulbs and things, but what I really want is what we have over here, the onions, £4.49 a pack. They've gone up in price, so I'm alright for onions. I'm trying to grow some from seed. That being said, I've never seen that variety before, avocado. Doesn't say anything good about them. No, won't worry about that just yet, but I do want some shallots. Red Sun. Now it looks like the only variety of shallots they have here. And then we've got garlic, Sojourner and Thermodrome. I've not grown either of those, I don't think. Is it worth it? I don't think so. don't know. Let me know. I put a video out the other week asking for recommended varieties of garlic. Are they that? Anyway, that's a little bit limited actually, I think. There's not a huge amount here. But I've got shallots, which is what I was after. Right, sorry, I got a little bit lost there. Hope you're okay. As you said, got into a garden centre, found what I was looking for, but there wasn't much there for growing over winter, I don't think. But what do you think? Was that mission accomplished? Also, don't forget, we're going to need a mission for next week as well. So Nicholas says, my concern is, are there feeds that are natural based or just not so good chemical feeds? So you use seaweed feed, etc. There are natural based feeds that can be used in hydroponic systems. You can guarantee that anything gardening wise, there will be natural feeds. So there are definitely some of those. We've just got to shop around. Of course, natural feeds are usually much more expensive than that. Oh, there we go. He's done it. He's gone back to Digwell Green Fingers. We haven't lost him at all. He's changed it. Thanks to Nigel telling him how it's done. Rob says, welcome back. Excellent, that. Who's that Digwell? Who's that Digwell bloke then? Exactly. Nigel tip. Richard, sound loud levels when seem to be clipping. Is that on the video or on this? If it's on the video, that's because I was using my GoPro, and you all know how rubbish GoPro audio. It's just something I had to grab at the time, because I don't use my GoPro much. But if it's on this bit, let me know, because I can quickly make an adjustment to that. What have we got? Loose sound. Nicholas says, too much Christmas stuff taking up space and gut. Tell me about it. It drives me mad. Went in there and half of that shop, it was just full of Christmas stuff. It drives me mad. But I'm not going to get into that tonight. I'm going to be calm. Andrew says, mission accomplished, but price for those onions, they were expensive in there. I didn't think they would be that much, but it does seem to be going a little bit like that. So Digwell says, clipping on the live show. Okay, I'll just drop it down a little and hopefully that'll be okay. Tell me if it's okay now. I've skipped through a few comments there because they weren't related. So what can I tell me what I can grow in my hydroponic system right now? I really want to know what's going on. Sound is good. All right, I dropped it down a little. Thank you. Sometimes I don't know how it's going to go until I go live. So sometimes I rely on you guys to make a few or tell me what's going on. Because so many programs, if I record anything on this, it sounds different. Plus, I haven't got my speakers set up yet, so that's good. So, Nicola, is there herbs and lettuce as two suggestions of something I can grow in my hydroponic system at the moment? As I said, herbs are definitely something I'm going to be growing. I grow a lot of parsley, sage, rosemary, may not do raspberry, but parsley, coriander. I know I just said Cajun. Chives, I don't know if chives are going to be really suitable to grow in a hydroponic system. Has anybody grown chives in a hydroponic system? I don't know. Well, Bethan is just getting back there. I'm going to grow some chives, basil, coriander, tiny tomatoes, marigolds, Elysium, and maybe anthurium. Again, I like the idea of. I mean, this is my point. I love the idea of growing herbs. As you know, I love growing herbs. I grow them all winter long on my windowsill. I think they are a must in any kitchen garden, or any kitchen for that matter. One of my things I said is, and I said this at the beginning, and is that there are groups that are set up because they get so annoyed with people only using a hydroponic growing system for herbs. And I kind of get it. I want to be a little bit more imaginative. So tiny tomatoes, something like the mini bell is one example, which is definitely a tomato I could grow in mine. Um, any other ideas? Any suggestions that you would advise me to grow in my hydroponic system? Nigel says, me and Digger are poor unpaid sound engineers. Yeah, well, you know what you're talking about when you say clipping, so that does help. So my levels in here look very, very low, but that doesn't mean that's not what's going out to you. So that's very useful for you to tell me what's going on there. Beth Digwell says to Bethan, still trying to find a decent tiny tomato. I grow mini ones, but they get a bit big. I'm with you on that. I've tried a few of the mini tomatoes, not necessarily in the hydroponics, but growing outside, and I find their flavour is lacking, and the skin can sometimes get quite tough. And you know, Mini Bell is one that jumped in my head. That's probably the best one that I know of, as Bethan has suggested here. Mini Bell is the best small one that I have found that I know of, but they're still not quite as good as normal tomatoes, in my opinion. That being said, in something like this hydroponic system, that would probably work much better because the skin isn't going to harden because they've constantly got moisture, and because they are small tomatoes, they're going to grow quite well. So I tell you what, tomato mini bell is going in mine. I'm going to make a note of that. I'm that pleased with it. Nicholas says, my house is not warm enough to grow in my home. Hopefully have heating sorted. I don't turn my heating on, so my house is just as cold, to be honest. I'm looking for, well, we've got fireplaces here, but we don't turn our heating on. Trust me, it's cold when I get up in the morning. Why herbs? I only grow basil, as most herbs grow well in pots indoors. I kind of agree with you actually there, Digwell. I will often grow things like parsley and coriander on my windowsill over winter. So I do agree with you on that one. Why grow herbs? Um, uh, Basil, because I use a lot. Again, I'm with you. I'm with you. What I want to, and that's why I'm trying to find alternatives. Yeah, let's see. Turbo Stream says the prices seem to go from 60 quid to expensive for the quicks on a quick Google just now. I'm trying to remember the company that I got mine from, Kent something or another, Kenton something. I know they weren't that much. I got them at a show price though, so they might be a little bit cheaper in that. Nicholas says, when will you start your tomato, Richard? I'm going to start them this week. I will start them in my hydroponic system this week, and we'll see how they get on. I'm probably going to move the hydroponics behind me, so we can see just how it gets on. Nigel says, there was once a tomato called Tiny Tim. Not heard of it for a good time. I haven't seen it for a while. Tiny Tim always reminds me of that comedian who does the stupid little voices, who I don't find very funny. That's unfortunately my brain just goes there these days. But yeah, Nicola, I think Bargain Seeds have had some in the sale. Nigel, Turbo Stream, Bargain Seeds might be worth a look as well. Kenton Stowe, says Nigel. No, it's not Kenton Stowe. It's something else. I can, no, wrong one. Too many computers. I can tap it in while I'm here now. Let's have a look. West Kent, that was the company. West Kent. The mini 5 pod, which is one I've got, is 40 quid there. Let me see if I can add the link to this and see if it'll work. Hopefully that will help you out. It's quite a big link, I'm afraid. Come on. It's turning. There we go. It's quite a long link, but there it is. That's the one I've got, and it's about 40 quid on their website. Let's bring that back to Instagram. I can keep an eye on that. Bethan says, my system has pods you can buy with the seeds planted in them. They came with the unit last year. I had 5 tomato seedlings last year, left 1 in the unit, and the rest grew under grow lights. Excellent. Excellent. I mean, that's something I should add, actually. Most of these hydroponic kits, these tabletop ones, actually come with grow lights built in as well. And they make it worthwhile, in my opinion, because you cannot buy grow lights for as cheap as they come with this. One thing I would say, I bought a hydroponic growing kit. I've got it downstairs still, years and years ago, but I had to manually turn on and off the light, which isn't a huge problem, but it's a little bit annoying. I do like it when they come on automatically because I'm not a morning person, I'll be honest with you. I like things to be automatic. I mean, trust me, even opening curtains, I would love to be automatic these days. Might call it lazy. I don't. Tiny Tim tastes like CP. I grew it this year, never again. Lost in my taste test. Okay, there we go. It's still available then. Where did you get it from? Turbo Stream says, as I have grow lights already, then I would be interested in a DIY solution. Again, I come back to that years and years ago, IKEA as well. They used to sell a hydroponic kit that you would fix your own grow lights onto it as well. I was in IKEA the other day, as you know, and they weren't there anymore, so they don't sell them anymore. But all it was is that it was a tray, and so you could actually make this for those who are thinking about making their own hydroponic system. So you get a tray, a plastic tray, you know, fairly deep. I mean, the IKEA one was probably, I don't know, between 5 and 10 centimeters deep. Needs some sort of lid on it, and then you cut holes to put aquatic plant pots in. So they've got lots of holes, and then you fill those plant pots up. Oh, sorry, just knocked that. You can fill the plant pots up with this stuff. This is Lava Light Hydrogrow. It's hydroponic growing media. Then you put your seeds into that. I didn't think that was going to come into play. I didn't put that there for that reason. But yeah, there are DIY solutions out there. Rebecca has joined and says, evening, Richard. Sorry I'm late. Not a problem. Welcome along. Nicholas says, remember to give a thumbs up. Yeah, please do remember to give us a thumbs up. That would be great. My grow lights come on automatically for 12 hours each day. So useful. It does make life easier if they come on automatically. Mine are my hydroponics 16 hours a day on, 8 hours off. Bethan says the ones under grow lights grew bigger and I had better harvests, but the pot size was a lot bigger under the lights. Yeah, I mean, you probably got to experiment and see whether that makes any difference on grow lights or not. I think it would make a difference. Nicholas says, I don't have curtains at present, but it's just the owls can see in. Oh, dearie me. Oh, dearie me. Jenny says, sorry I'm late. Dinner exploded in chicken juice all over the kitchen. All fun. I'm listening, but can't comment at the moment. I'm sorry to hear that. Oh, dearie me. That's a nightmare. Digwet says, West Kent take hydro units and upgrade the LED lighting. Oh, okay. I don't know. I just bought them. I like them. I thought for 40 quid, I didn't think that was bad for a 5-pod system. Nigel has said there's plenty of setups, DIY setups on YouTube. Flood and drain with net pots and use PVC drain pipes. Just need a small pump and water container. Yeah, there are complicated ways. I'm thinking of trying to keep it simple. I would recommend a pump to circulate the water every now and then, just to stop it from going stagnant and smelling as well. Nicholas says you could use a plastic container with a lid and use a hot soldering iron to cut holes in the plastic so the plastic doesn't crack with a knife, or maybe drill it with a plastic hole cutter. Absolutely. I'm thinking now of making my own one after talking about this. Give me the chance to use some of that lava light stuff. Rob says I saw someone make one from an old cooler box. Fantastic. Yeah, again, I can see that working. Nicholas says Lidl had some last year, approximately £30. I've never looked into that, so definite ideas. I'd never thought of going to Lidl for that sort of thing, but hey, they sell everything in there, don't they, these days? And TurboStream says, I will have a look, Nigel. Thank you. No worries. So, yeah, there are setups for stuff that you can make yourself that could be pretty useful to you. Just trying to think. So, what else could we grow in mine? We've got tomatoes, mini tomatoes. Chilies. Is anyone going to be who has got your chilies or grows chilies in theirs? Has anybody got any chilies that can be in it, or would be growing chili? I mean, I'll be growing my chilies now anyway. I'll start to sow some seeds now, ready for next year. But would sow them in a thingamajig, a hydroponic system could work. Nicholas says, could be your mission, Richard. Next week, DIY hydroponic. And how does everyone feel on that for a mission? I like that. Actually. I could do that. Nigel says, I saw the Lidl advertised, but out of stock when I went. That's always the way, isn't it, sometimes with Lidl? As soon as it comes in, it seems to be sold out, same as Aldi and all the others. But hey, these are the joys of it, of grow your own in these cheap places. The trouble is, as gardeners, and I said this the other day, as gardeners, we like to save money as much as we possibly can. And that means sometimes we have to forego certain things, doesn't it? Digwell says, with most cheap units, it's the quality of the lighting that lets them down. I agree. I mean, again, I come back to my original hydroponic system that I have got somewhere. That was a fairly cheap one. They have got cheaper in recent years, granted. They are becoming much better. But the fact that light had to be turned on and off was a little annoying. And in all honesty, when I looked at that West Kent, I found the Mini 5-pod, which is the one I've got. I think I saw they had a 12-pod system or something there as well. Let's have a look. So they got a 15-pod, which is 105 quid. So it's a lot of money for that. But let me have a look. I think that one is app controlled, so you can control it using an app, which makes life a lot easier to see what's going on. Everything's got an app these days, hasn't it? It's moving on nicely with that. Right. I tell you what we're going to do. Shall we go? Should we? You sent me a recipe last week to cook. Oh no, let's just say these comments first. Digwell says Lidl, Verspong Technic. Isn't that Aldi, not Lidl? TurboStream, so you need the fluid to circulate. So mine does have a pump in it that just basically sucks water up from the bottom, pushes it up to the top. It doesn't spray it around. It doesn't run it through pipes. It just circulates the water to stop it from going stagnant. When water goes stagnant, it can smell. So it just keeps the water flowing. It also helps mix all the plant feed up to keep the nutrients in a pretty good condition in that fluid. That's what the pump is generally there for. Some hydroponic systems do have big systems like the ones the commercial users grow for tomatoes and things. They will pump it from one end all the way up to another end, and that could be several hundred meters apart, and the water will flow down. But that's getting into big areas there. Digwell says, just taking the chilies out of mine, but not going to fight the aphids again this winter. Is that a negative? Did you get aphids over winter in yours, Digwell? Is that something that I haven't really thought of? Let me know. Nigel says Hydra systems are like LED grow lights, initially expensive but getting cheaper. Aren't they just? They are always getting cheaper. Over on Instagram, Mark J8108 has joined, One Man's Allotment has joined, and Rambling Stems has joined as well. Please feel free to comment. I can't bring your comments up on Instagram, but we can talk about it with the group. Turbo Stream says the aphids last year were a problem in my potch. Almost perfect conditions for them to overwinter and multiply. I had the same problem in my kitchen, in my growing seed sowing station. Aphids were a problem. I've been looking more into things like nematodes to deal with aphids and other things like that. The thing that I have found that really works, believe it or not, carnivorous plants, particularly the sundew, because they trap those aphids quite nicely. They're something that I'm working more with to incorporate in my gardening. Nicholas says you can use really small. You can use one of those really small fountains. You've got to be careful because it really needs to be a really small one. Just trickle the water around. Jenny says, Domino's to the rescue. Boo, I'll just close the kitchen. Exploding chickens. How did that happen, I wonder? Nigel says, got an aphid cloud from my Brussels today. Oh, don't you hate that when you're just walking among your brassicas and you get hit with a cloud of aphids? Kate says, never had aphids with mine. Lucky, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I'm only talking... My aphids were in my seed stowing station, and in the summer, just like my hydroponics, there was just loads of little black balls. I thought it was like tiny mouse poop, to be honest. But he figured out it was aphids that left them. Digwell says, do check the app works on 2.45 gigahertz. BT no longer splits a band, so most 2.4 will not work if you're on BT. Most smart equipment only works on 2.4 as well. So if you've got a smart lights and smart other things like that, you won't be able to use BT for your internet. Nicholas says, money boots a bit like LED lights bulbs in a domestic home. Yes, they used to be very expensive and now they're incredibly cheap, aren't they? Kate says, with my pots, I put horticulture grip on top. Seems to stop the little flies. There we go. That and Cell on Earth, I believe, would work as well to stop the flies too. Ideas. Digwell says, yes, the whole estate's aphids decimated my hydros in January. I think it's been a bad year for aphids, though, because I've never had problem with them in the past. This year, I had non-stop problems. That and slugs and snails and many other pests this year. But, hey, there's always next year's, what I tell myself. Now, recipe. You wanted me to... It was a suggestion for a garlic and honey mayonnaise. I've made it. This video is a little long for my liking, but hey, enjoy it. Also, there might be a little bit of flickering lights because it's done on my GoPro again and I can't set it at the right frame rate. Bloody GoPros. I don't know why we bother with them. Anyway, here it comes. This week's recipe, you want me to make a garlic honey mayonnaise. Gathered the ingredients, let me talk you through it. So what we've got here are all the ingredients that we're going to use. We've got some Dijon mustard, we've got some vegetable oil. This is rapeseed oil that I've used. Would be better with something like avocado oil, but hey, needs must. Egg, we're going to use a whole egg because we don't like waste. Lemon, we're going to need for juice. A couple of cloves of garlic. We've got some honey, you probably recognise where that comes from, and we're using red wine vinegar. It should really be white wine vinegar, but I don't have any, so I've gone for red wine vinegar. Let's get to making this. Okay, so to do this, I'm going to use our blender here. Let me just take the top off. This blender gets a lot of use lately, but it's certainly worth it. First of all, I'm going to crack in an egg. I'm using the whole egg because I don't like waste. Most recipes will say for mayonnaise to just use the egg yolk. That's not how we do it here. Next in is going to go, get it, that is, a good teaspoon of Dijon mustard. Lovely. We'll throw in the 2 garlic cloves. We're going to throw in, I haven't opened this, so I'm doing this on the go, about a tablespoon of vinegar. That'll do. Next, we're going to add some honey, bee juice. Thank you very much, Clarkson. We'll just add a little bit for now and see how it tastes later on, if I can get it out. There we go. And the final thing we're going to add at this point, lemon juice. There's a whole science that goes on about this, but I think that's acidity and things like that, and I've just done what I really wanted to do, or didn't want to do, was drop a seed in here. There we go. Well, I did just have it. Good job my hands are clean. Where is it? There it is. Very, very, very fiddly to get out. There we go. Nearly. You get all this going on here, guys, don't you? There it is. There it is. There it is. I'm not going to drop it this time. Right. So what we've got to do now is start emulsifying that, and then we gently pour in the vegetable oil. Right, so we turn this on. We're going to put it on blend. And so let's just check on this quickly. Starting to look a little mayonnaisey, but it's not quite as thick as I would like it. So back to blend. Low. Right, let's give it a second and we'll check on it again. It stopped automatically on this one. That is starting to look a lot like mayonnaise now. Let's just grab a spoon. Oh yeah, there you go. Right, not quite as thick as I would like it, so I'm going to add a little bit more. Put the lid on. This does make a massive mess. Amanda's going to kill me when she comes back. Okay, so have a look on the inside. That's starting to really take shape now. Oh yeah, I think we're about there. Yeah, we are there. So let's take this off of here. this out. Look how nice and thick that is. That's what you call real homemade mayonnaise. Garlic and honey. Just looks beautiful. Just looks beautiful. Of course, this will last up to a fridge in a week. This will last up to a week in the fridge. That is beautiful. Right, I'll hand you back to the studio and we'll give it a taste test. There we go. So this is what the bowl of mayonnaise looks like. But the big question is, what does it taste like? Oh, that is lovely. That is absolutely delicious. Might need it just a little bit more honey, but it's just enough just to let you know it's there. Garlic, perfect. Apparently the blender stunk of garlic, even though I cleaned it afterwards. But you know what? Homemade mayonnaise is so much better than anything we can buy for a supermarket. It's so easy to make. It's one of the reasons that I love keeping chickens, because now we have to pretty much always think about growing or making mayonnaise every week because we have so much of it. So there we go. Oh, I've got no slides. I've just realised that I haven't uploaded that, but we'll quickly have a look at that. What were people saying before that? One thing I want to say actually about the mayonnaise, but if you ever make your own mayonnaise, I don't know if you've ever made mayonnaise before, but one of the things that I know or I've learned is that when you pour in the oil, it's about really pouring that oil in very, very, very slowly, very slowly. In the past, I used to try and speed it up by throwing it in far too quickly, and it doesn't work. It's all about how slow, literally just trickle that oil in to the mayonnaise mixture. And there we go. There we go. So Nicholas says, also, don't they take minutes to get bright? Talking about the LED lights, they're pretty much bright as soon as you turn them on. I think that's what you mean. Nigel was saying to dig, right, I think it depends on the router. Mine is about 4 years old and I can get 2.4 and 5. They normally have them on dual. I mean, I didn't know BT were not doing 2.4, but that's not going to work in their favor because so much stuff can only work on 2.4. So that's going to go against them massively. Nicola, Kate, the little flies can't lift the grit to climb out. Talking about the horticulture grit and the aphids, that'll work great. Turbo Stream says, I'm growing lettuce in the plastic grape pallets you get from supermarkets. Finally seem to have success so far. I'm not surprised, actually. Found the mix called French salad leaves mixed seemed to work for me. It's much cooler in your porch as well. I'm betting that has something to do with it. What? Never had slugs or snails in my indoor hydros at the Veg Grower podcast. No idea what you're doing wrong there. Could it be Roxy bringing them in? It wasn't slugs or snails. No, it was the aphids that were dropping these little black things or whatever they may be. It wasn't slugs or snails. It was aphids, tiny, tiny little things. Now, I've not had slugs or snails on the indoor hydros either. I'm just talking in general about gardening when I've mentioned slugs and snails. Sorry, the aphids and slugs and snails have been a bane of my life this year. Nicholas says, use the egg whites for meringue in a dessert, then no waste. That is true. That is something you could do with egg white, but I don't like meringue, so I tend to just use it for when I do a mayonnaise. I use a whole egg to not waste anything. Over on Instagram, Joff Flick has joined. Hello, my friend. Hope you are well. Lovely to see you. Nicholas says, Richard, I would have melted the honey a little first and you could have blended slower, but looking lovely and no nasties in it and much cheaper. I couldn't blend that any slower in my thing. Trust me, that was the slowest it went, but it certainly was worth it in my opinion. It tastes so nice, that mayonnaise. Nigel says, need a few sticks of celery with that mayo. Yeah, I didn't think of that. But hey, sandwiches, not that I eat sandwiches at the moment, but I'm sure I can find something to use the mayo up on. Amanda says, hello all. Sorry I'm late. So nice to see you all. Nice to see you too. Hope you are well. Turbo Stream says, never made mayonnaise. I don't tend to buy the shop bought either. It's so easy to make mayonnaise that when you make your own, you'll never buy shop bought again. The only thing is, it does. The only trouble is, you suddenly realise just how much oil goes into mayonnaise when you make your own, because there is a lot. Nicholas says, if you roasted garlic, have roasted garlic mayo, put bicarbonate of soda to help clear the garlic smell. Should stick to glass as much as plastic. My blender actually has a cleaning mode that I used on. But one of the ideas I did actually have for making garlic mayo is more of a garlic confit, whatever you call it. So basically, the oil, you gently heat the oil up with garlic, and then you obviously let it cool before you make your mayonnaise. Hopefully, then that oil will take on some of that garlic flavor. Nicholas says you can increase the oil as you go on. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. But once you get it going, you really slowly pour it in. Idaho has joined. Hello, Richard and everyone in the chat. I'm sick in bed, fever, cough, aches, chills, just listening. Sorry to hear that, Idaho. I hope you get well very soon. Nothing worse than being ill is hopefully will help keep you a company for the next half hour. Turbo Stream says, I'm growing lettuce on a north-facing window now and starting them off under LED grow lights. Fantastic. I do think it was the porch just getting so hot that was the problem. Nicholas says, a stick blender, you can put all the ingredients in the bottom and then just draw. I saw that on YouTube, actually, using a stick blender. But hey, if this has worked for me, that's what I'm going to stick with. Turbo Stream says, get well soon, Home Garden Gal. And Kate says, can also do a hollandaise sauce. Yeah, I haven't made a hollandaise in a long time. Lovely. Nicholas says, I was thinking earlier you were looking slimmer. Am I? That's good, because I have been trying to lose weight. I hope I'm looking slimmer. It's probably just the camera screen though. Thanks, Turbo. Hope you feel better soon. Get well soon. Thanks, Kate and Bethan. And also says, wish you well. Kate says, speaking of garlic, I got mine to sow and I want to get a smoker to do smoked garlic. I love smoked garlic. I used to smoke mine out in the on the allotment when it was ready. Loved it. Nicholas says, sorry, I'd hope for speedy recovery indeed. And Amanda says, Richard, you are looking really well. Have the salads been working their magic? Oh, definitely going to make a garlic mayo. Would be lovely with some homemade chips. Oh, homemade chips, that would go down well. No, I've had the last 2 weeks off work, in all honesty, and whenever I'm not at work, I am actually able to eat so much healthier earlier on in the day as well, and I think that does make a big difference. I haven't weighed myself actually, but I have been over the last few weeks trying to eat a little bit healthier, trying to lose weight, as I've said and expressed with you many times. But I'm glad you think it's working, because I really have been putting a lot of effort to try and do it, cutting out bread, not eating sandwiches and things like that. Anyway, right, I do need a recipe or something you would like me to cook up for next week as well. And we'll move on to that. So one of the questions that I have got on my list of things that we should discuss about hydroponics. So tomatoes, herbs, chilies, beans, and everything else that you've suggested that could be grown in hydroponics is certainly things we're going to look at. One of the questions I've got, is it expensive, or do you find it expensive to run a hydroponic system? In all honesty, I have not noticed any difference in cost in our electricity bill for running it. They're pretty low wattage. There is a pump and there are lights, of course, which do use electricity to run. But I've not noticed any problems or any cost on electricity in using our hydroponic system. So I don't think they are that expensive to run. But I could be wrong. It'd be interesting to know your answer on that. Um, is it productive? Is another question that I want to ask you. I have found the basil to be quite productive this year. We've got plenty of basil out of our hydroponics, and it definitely has worked quite well for that. And the only coming back to the expense side of things, the thing that we do have to think about, there is a cost in the feed and materials. And what I mean by that is obviously you need a dedicated plant feed for the nutrient rich waters. My hydroponic system did come with their dedicated plant feed, but also mine needs sponges to go in the trays to start the seeds off. I've actually reused my sponges because I'm a bit of a tight git like that, and I would try and reuse them. But I have been thinking that there's going to come a point then they're not going to be reusable. We may have to then think about buying some new sponges. Also, another question I'm going to throw out there, and I've done this myself. Do you need special seeds? IKEA did sell special seeds for their hydroponic systems, but did you find you needed special seeds for your hydroponic plants? I don't think they do, but that's my answer. Kate says, cost-wise, I didn't notice much difference when using the hydroponics either. No, I didn't. I've only got the one. I don't know how Digwell finds with five, but perhaps the cost of running it offsets by the cost of the food that's being produced. I don't know. Oh, excuse me, that was a weird thing there. A lot of love coming from Idaho. Idaho says, maybe I will lose weight. I haven't felt like eating since yesterday morning. Need to keep your energy up. Need to keep your energy up. That's what my wife tells me whenever I go ill. Anyway, gotta eat, gotta eat. Jenny says, cost-wise, look into it if you are on economy 7 or economy 10. That's interesting. I mean, I've not, as I said, I've not noticed any difference in our electricity bills in using ours. I'm not saying there won't be any costs, but it's definitely something to think about. The motors on them are like, my water pump on it is something like a 5-watt motor, and LED lights are pretty low wattage as well. You remember the old, well, they say, you remember the old night lights that used to plug in for children on the top of the stairs at night? They probably use more electricity than what we use in our LED lights nowadays. So, they came down, the running costs have come down a lot. Kate says, I've only used normal seeds for mine. Excellent. That's answers that. That's what I've used as well. Digwell says, my most expensive one is 38 watt for 12 hours a day. That's 14p a day. So that's not much money, but it does add up. It's something to think about. It does add up when you think about it. Kate says, have a nice veg soup. Not harsh on the stomach, but full of vitamins to help. Good idea, actually. Good idea. Digwell says, no needs for sponges, just use peat. So the way mine is, the actual, because I did think about using those hydrogrow things I showed you earlier, but that would just fall through the actual plastic container that holds them in place. The sponges seem to be specifically designed and sized to fit in ours. And again, I would worry about that with peat, that it's going to fall out into the water system. So I either have to change the containers, or I will have to come up with another way of holding on to it, I guess. Idaho says, I try to find dwarf or shorter varieties for the hydroponics, but regular lettuce, winter density is my favorite lettuce. I'm with you on that. It's one of my favorites as well. But yeah, dwarf chilies, dwarf tomatoes. We're going to try them. Digwell also says normal seeds. So that, again, another one for normal seeds. Bethan says, I've only used their seeds, but starting with my seeds this time. When you say their seeds, are you talking about the company West Kent? Did you get your hydroponic system from West Kent? Let me know. Let me know. And Nigel's asking, could you use Jiffy 7s? Are you talking about on my particular one or in general? Again, my worry with it, I guess the Jiffy 7s, I mean, my ones are more conical shaped. So they would squeeze down into there, and I'd be worried about all the compost coming out of that and going into the water and then getting sucked into the pump, blocking the pump and burning the pump out. That's where I'm concerned, because it needs to be something that holds together quite well. But as I said, this other system we're going to look at, or the DIY system, we could probably use Jiffy 7s or something like that in as we go. That's definitely an option, though. Definitely an option. I don't think it would work in mine. That's my answer to that. Jenny says, costs as example for economy 10. Very cheap to run in E10 hours, but costs 3 times more out of those times. Will probably be still cheap to run, but worth checking. Yeah. It does depend on your rates as well, doesn't it? How much you're paying for your electricity, on how much it costs to run. Definitely questions going on there. A lot of questions going on there. Have I got any more questions? I haven't actually. So let's go have a look at some of your photos that you have been kind enough to share with me. Let me oh god, try that one. Is that right? No, hang on. It's all going wrong. It's all going wrong. There we go. That's better. That's better. So I can't actually see them, so that's not really working for me. Oh God, I can't see anything. This is going very, very wrong. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to quickly swing this over here. There we go. That's what I wanted. Sorry. That makes absolutely no sense to anybody watching. These are your photos. So we've been talking about hydroponics, of course, and this is Steve's lettuce growing rather nicely in his hydroponic system. As you can see, lots of lettuce. Trying to quickly count. Is that a 15 pod, 12 pod, 15 pod? That's not bad, is it? That's not bad at all. Lots of lovely looking lettuce growing well as well. He says this will keep him fed with lettuce throughout the winter too. Scott has got some local honey. It's been a conversation. I've always wanted to keep bees, but a bit difficult to do on our allotment. Definitely impossible to do here at home, but I would love the thought of having bees and making our own honey and beeswax and things like that. Ginny has been to a garden centre and found all these plug plants for sale, which is pretty rare at this time of day or time of year. It's normally full of garden centre, full of Christmas decorations, as we've seen. Digwell says that hydroponic system was a 21 pod, so pretty big one at that. Stuart's got this bargain from the garden centre. I can't quite work out what particular plant it is, but it looks something with a big type leaf. He's not in tonight. He's shared his apologies, but I'm sure he can tell us what it is one day. Kate, she mentioned that she had her garlic arrive, her delivery from the garlic farm. That looks like 6 bulbs of garlic there, 3 different types, if I'm not mistaken. Look fantastic, don't they? Garlic Farm are a really good supplier of garlic, it has to be said. So please keep sharing your photos. You post them in our Facebook group, send to me via social media, or email me, richard@theveggiegroundpodcast.co.uk. We'll get rid of that. I've got another slide that I'm going to quickly upload because we're going to need that in a minute. Oh, this is easier doing things on the go, isn't it? All good fun. All good fun. Nothing going on Instagram there. Right, where were we? Where were we? Oh, I've gone through those comments. Oh, I've gone way back. What's happened there? Right, bear with me. I'm trying to catch up where I was. In the meantime, I do need a recipe for next week, something you would like me to cook. up next week or prepare next week. I'm a little busy. I've got a wedding to go to on Saturday, believe it or not. Not mine, of course, but I've got a wedding to go to on Saturday, which is going to be fun. Right, I'm catching up. I'm catching up now. There we go. Turbo Extreme says 14p a day is £50 a year. It does add up, doesn't it? It does add up. But hey, that's the joys of these sort of things. Nicholas says, does the cost outweigh the food cost that you produce? That's a good question. Does the cost of running a hydroponic system outweigh the cost of the food that you produce? Good question there, actually. Very good. Very good. Bethan says, my system has cups where the compost comes in the shape of the cup and there is a wicking system for soaking up the water. My unit is from Click and Grow. Of course it is. Think they are Dutch. Seeds were theirs. Click and Grow. It's another option. I haven't checked them out. I'll have to give them a check out one day, won't I? Anne says fig tree. I'm not sure it was a fig tree. Oh, Nicholas says, yes, it was a fig tree. It was in the info. Oh, apologies. It was a fig tree. It didn't look like a fig tree. It had fig-type leaves, but to me, it didn't look like a fig tree as such. Stuart's plant looks like Fatissia japonica. That's kind of what I thought. It didn't really look like a fig tree, but I could be. Well, I am wrong. It said fig tree in the fig tree said on the Facebook page. There we go. So it is a fig tree. There we go. It didn't look like one though. I will say that. What have we got? Nicholas says leeking potato soup. Oh, what? Next week, leeking potato soup. That's an idea. Try Imbaldi. Use up some aubergines. Oh, two choices for next week. Leek potato soup or Iman Bialdi. What else have we got? Ernie! Hi, Richard. How are you? It's been a long time since I watched your lovely podcast. I've been swimming every Sunday where you are, but now I've stopped until next year. You're brave going into the sea this time of year. How are you? A long time no see. Hope you are well. Toby Stream says cheese on toast. Oh, delicious. I haven't had cheese on toast for ages, but that's all unhealthy. I'm not eating that sort of stuff at the moment. Graham says, I think most things for the garden don't save you money. It's the enjoyment we get from growing vegetables that matters. I kind of agree, but then if you compare the food of what we grow to our economy food, then I don't think it saves money. But when we grow our own, we are growing high quality food. We're talking farm shop quality food, probably better than that, especially if you're growing organically or anything like that. When you compare it to the price of those, you make a massive saving. So you don't necessarily save money, but you get a higher quality food. That's the way I look at it. And the flavour, as Nicholas says, the flavour is also much better. Turbo Stream, I'm off wheat at the moment too. I'm just trying to cut out. I've cut out carbs and sugar is my sort of thing. I never eat much sugar anyway, but I've been cutting out carbs, cut out sugar. It was actually, I spoke to Nigel months ago on the phone, and he said that he cut out bread and found that he lost. I don't know if that was in private actually now, but he said he lost a lot of weight just by cutting out bread. So that's what I'm doing as well. And says Baba Ganoush, really easy to make from aubergines. Ooh, lots of ideas. And he says, I'm good, thanks. It's an indoor pool. Are we talking at the splash point there? Not splash point. Wave, I think it's called. Nicola, yes, Nicola, fresh carrots are unbeatable. Turbo Stream says, grow your own is also so we know where our food comes from. That's also true. Digwell says £50 a year, maybe, but my fresh lettuce is on hand every day of the year. It's worth this. So let's think about this. If you go and buy a bag of lettuce every week to use up on your sandwiches and things, that's probably going to cost you £1 a bag. That's the last time I bought them, they were a pound a bag. They might be more than that. So you do that 52 weeks a year, £52. There you go. You've made a saving already. Makes it worthwhile. Carbs are sugar, of course they are. Yeah, I know. I just use sugar as a thing I'm 100% cut up. So it's been reduction in wine gums and after dinner treats and biscuits. I've never been one for biscuits anyway, but I've cut out biscuits as well. I know says yes for fresh. Yes, fresh lettuce. Yeah, definitely makes it worthwhile. Nick also says less mileage is good. So what you're saying is that these hydroponic systems, they grow a lot of good food for you, but it's also cheaper and you guys tend to like it too. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm totally with you. Right, I'm going to have to bring this screen over because I do have one more set of photos to go through with you as well. And this is a photo that was sent in from Nigel. Speaking of the guy, Nigel, he sent me some photos. These are your harvests. Every week we do want to get to see some of your harvests that you send in to us because you know what? We're growing all this lovely food. Let's see what we're harvesting. Also, actually, it'd be good to see some of the meals that you're cooking with your homegrown food as well. If you want to share those too, that would be good. So Nigel sent me these photos today of the beetroot that he has harvested. Look at all that beetroot, plenty there. Looks absolutely delicious. Good size as well. Good lot of beetroot. I wonder, can anybody work out how many beetroot there is in that photo? Let me know. Let me know your subs or what you think on that. Now, he's actually said to me that he's storing or put his in the veggie pod for the time being, I guess, to get them into storage, harden the skins a little bit. And then he's placed the greenhouse mesh, the rain mesh over the top to keep his beetroot dry. Looks fantastic, absolutely fantastic. So please do share your harvest photos, post on our Facebook group, send to me via social media, email me, richard@theveggroundpodcast.co.uk. Love to see more of them, as I said. It's always good to get an idea of what you're growing and what you're growing in your own garden and things like that too. Over on anything happening over on Instagram? Nothing happening over there. What have we got? I've just skipped up to the top again. There we go. Right, I've got back. Where are we? Carbs are sugar. Read that one. Read that one. Jenny says, how much is lettuce salad in a supermarket these days? Don't buy them, so no idea. I thought the same. They used to be £1 a bag, didn't they? But I haven't bought any for a long time. So I have no idea how much they are. I'm relying on you guys for that, if you have any idea. Turbo Stream, I used to buy lettuce at 57p. It would last 3 meals. I had 2 salads from my lettuce this week. So 2/3 there. The seeds cost 75p. There we go. It just goes to show how much you can save, but factor in the cost of the electricity and things. Nicholas says, they say if you stop sugar in all foods for 2 weeks, you'll start losing weight, better health issues, and food tastes better. Yes, I used to have 2 spoons of coffee, 2 spoons of sugar in my coffee when I was younger. When I was in my early 20s, I cut that completely out. Took 2 weeks of going teetotal, but afterwards I felt I cannot stand sugar in my coffee anymore. Just 2 weeks is all it takes to detox from sugar. Digwell says, check out my 10 delectable dishes from last year. Bubba was lush. Turbo Stream, wonder how many bags I get for 75p. This is where it makes you wonder, doesn't it? It makes you wonder what we could do. Idaho says £2 bag of organic lettuce mixed leaves costs about $5. What's that? £4? How big's a £2 bag? I can't quite picture that at the moment. Graham says, I think I grew a few £100 worth of cucumbers. 2 mini munch plants. I got over 200 cucumbers. that makes it all worthwhile, doesn't it? When you get that much food out of your garden or your allotment. Over on Instagram, the Kentish Gardener has joined. Welcome along. We've been talking about hydroponic gardening, but we've only got a few minutes left to go tonight. So we're going to start wrapping down and finish it off. What have we got? Nicholas says salad leaves are about £1.50, £1.80 for a small mixed. Not enough for a week. They've gone up since I last bought them or looked at them. So that just goes to prove how much money you can save by growing your own lettuce, even in a hydroponic growing system. Excellent, excellent stuff. Gosh, glad I don't buy it then. Yeah, dig well, but be careful, as rapid repetition is just as bad as being overweight. Yeah. There's also one more thing I remember reading about. I know I haven't seen it tonight, but there is somebody who actually works for a watercress company for his bag. So I could be a little bit polite because I don't want to. I'm not knocking them down. What was I going to say? But watercress. There has been instances of salmonella being found in some of these foods bags as well. So this comes back to what we were saying earlier about food being knowing where it comes from. Turbo Stream says, I'm cutting out wheat for digestive reasons. I do love toast and butter, yeah, especially in the middle of winter. A £2 bag is £2. Yeah, I'm trying to picture it in my head and compare it to a bag we would buy from Tesco's. I'm thinking they're about the similar sort of size, aren't they? But I could be wrong. I think Aldi do a bag for 60p or so, depends on the mix. I haven't looked, so I don't know. So I just went and looked. It's actually £1 bag, 454 gram, costs $5. I can't work out if that's anything like what we've got in our bags here. Is that about the same sort of size? It's been so long since I bought them. I don't buy my own lettuce anymore. I don't buy lettuce in bags anymore. I buy it in my grow my own hydroponically or what have you. Over on Instagram, Jamie's Little Allotment has joined. Welcome along. Nigel says, I have digestive problem. Can't make up my mind if I want milk or dark chocolate on them. Oh, good one, Nigel. Good one, Nigel, as always. There's always a good joke. I go with milk. I go with milk chocolate, but I'm not eating that stuff at the moment. I'm staying healthy. I'm losing weight. I'm going to do this. Graham says, Idaho, that's daylight robbery. It's a lot. $5 for a bag of salad leaves. There again, I don't know. I haven't bought it for so long, I don't know. Turbo, Nigel, just don't. I could eat a whole packet in one go. Talking about biscuits. That's the trouble with biscuits, isn't it? You could eat them in one go. So, right, just looking through my notes. Next week, it was suggested that we talk about fake farm brands. Is that something you would really want to talk about? I feel it's a little bit off subject. You want me to make a DIY hydroponic kit, and what was the recipe you wanted me to cook? We're coming up to our last minute really. So let me know any suggestions for subject. If you're happy with the mission, but the recipe, what you're going to choose for me to cook. Idaho says, yes, it's expensive. That's why I like to grow my own. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on that. Turbo Stream says, have a good week. I'm off to grow lettuce. LOL, indeed. Kate says, chocolate comes from a bean. That makes it a salad. Oh, I'm with you there. There must be one equivalent to one lettuce in. There must only be an equivalent to one lettuce in that bag. Probably less than that. Probably less than that. Digwell's aubergine one. Digwell, what was your aubergine one? Was that Baba Ganoush or whatever it was? Let me know. Let me know. Have a good week all. Same time next week. Yeah. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up as well. Give us a like, a follow, subscribe. Click the notifications so that you know when we go live as well. So we're going to do Digwell's aubergine recipe. Digwell, can you email me or message me what you called it? And what we're going to talk about, next week. What do you want to talk about? Do you want to do this fake farm conversation? I'm not sure about it myself because it's completely off topic in some ways. I did have a couple of ideas of something that we could talk about. But what do you think? As literally getting ready to go. Digrat says, plug in a meter and see how much your hydro really costs. That's an idea, isn't it? And Digrat says, cider is from apples, one of our 5 a day. Potatoes are vodka is from potatoes as well. So that's another one we could use. So yeah, what do you want to talk about? Do you want to do this? I saw the fun vid. TurboStream. I saw the fun vid, says TurboStream. Probably get you in video. Digwell also says, thank you. I'm glad. I didn't feel it was right either. So what should we do next week? Or should I just come up with a subject during the week and share with you what I think we should talk about? I don't know. Yeah. Put suggestions in the Facebook page for the convo next week, or just email me with suggestions. We've got a few ideas because not everybody is on Facebook. I'm aware of that, and I don't want to leave anybody out. Well, Toby Stream says, make it a surprise. Okay, we will do that. Add any suggestions in the Facebook group, or email me, or message me with some suggestions. I think it is time that we pack this one up because I need to nip to the toilet. We will be back again next Sunday at 6. I've really enjoyed doing this. Yeah, that's why I said I'm not on Facebook. I know that's why I didn't want to dedicate it to Facebook. I want to see some other people, or include everybody else. It's got to be a way of making it all work. Anyway, we will be back in next Sunday at 6. We will come up with a subject, and you know what to do. Right, guys, you take care. Speak to you again next Sunday.